Hello there, you're watching Wilhelm Miniatures. In this episode I'm going to paint the Black Goat of the Woods from the Cthulhu Death May Die board game. The spray covers everything pretty good, but I do want to enhance some details and to get the lighter parts even lighter. Also to bring out the nice textures on this one. I am dry brushing it with the pure white. And to make this painting session even more stressful for myself, I'm also painting some episode monsters for the episodes that we will be playing today or tonight. Red shades and Rakeland flesh shade. So yeah, focus that on the center here, and then I think we go over to more of a purple. Yeah, so here I have both shade paints or shade type paints and contrast paints. The contrast paints of course have much more coverage, they are more opaque, which is why I think it's good to start with the shade paints in the middle so that we have more of the white showing through. I want it to be lighter in the middle and then become gradually darker. And then I think we'll move over to grey. The grey is very black, like in the deepest recesses, so I don't think I want to have the pure grey, but mixed with some of the other colors here. Usually good. Or yeah, then it becomes good, usually. I actually think I need something a little bit more extreme red, because this one does turn out, this one seems to turn out very, yeah, very, I don't know, grayish, so I do want to brighten it up a little bit. So I think a little bit of the red contrast paint here and there will be good. It is much more extreme than the than the red shade. So it's much more like blood. I think it will dry less crazy than this. Although maybe I should mix in some of the Rakeland flesh shade here and there again. I think I want to come in with some brown tones as well, especially in the shadows. It's good to do this when everything is still wet, because then I can blend it into the already existing shades and contrast paints. These are a bit big to have all of them on my painting station at the same time. Usually don't batch paint monsters. Another thing I like doing from time to time when I think I've applied a little bit too much is to kind of soften the tops with some of the contrast medium. Kind of just wiping it away as if it were like an oil wash and this was a solvent. Of course you can't do this forever because it dries and then you won't be able to get back. Okay, so I want this one to be sepia on the body and have a transition to green tentacles. I think that's going to be cool. So I have moved up part ways of the tentacle and then I'm going in with this green contrast paint. It's the Plague Bearer one, and yeah, maybe doing the next part of the tentacles in the green. I am picking up the sepia from the lower parts of the tentacles, so I think it's gonna be a cool transition. And for the tips I will go for whatever this one is called, curly a green shade, which is again a shade, so now I have shade, contrast and shade again. I think they work quite well together. I'm not washing my brush when I do this, which might stress some people out, but yeah, I don't see the point when wet blending. Doesn't matter too much if you contaminate the paints with a little bit of another color, in my opinion, because yeah, when I paint in this style, if the purple has a little bit of green in it, it's not noticeable unless you just have a little bit left, and then you of course end up with a different color. But it doesn't matter. Alright, I think maybe some red in the center of the mouth. The red is so bright. Yeah, I don't know. It surprises me every time, which I shouldn't be anymore because I use it quite a lot. But I think the fleshed here is red. It's got so much pigment in it, so it just turns pretty crazy. This one feels more classic alien-y, so I'm going with a gray black for the hard surfaces, or like the carapace parts, and then purple on the tentacles. The spawn miniatures are super annoying to paint with all these branches sticking everywhere. The only important thing really is to get it dark in between there, but it's very hard to get the brush where I want it. Anyway, it's just a mix really of whatever I have here. It's mostly browns and greens though. The most important thing for this first step was of course to get a good base tone for the skin on the more human parts, and also a good transition out to the limbs, to the extremities, and I think that worked very well. I'm pleased with this, with the torso. I didn't turn out too red, which I was a little bit worried that I would be, but yeah, going back in and cleaning it up a bit was a good choice. I very often do this step with dry brushing or a little dry brush first, and then I move over to this step. Although this miniature is actually quite nice sculpt, so I do want to give it a little bit more attention. But for the spawn or the wood children thingies, I will be dry brushing, if I'm even going to highlight them at all. I decided to go for some very light dry brushing on this one as well, and I think that was a good choice. Makes the transitions between the shades even smoother with very little effort. And as mentioned, I want to have the tentacles and stuff darker towards the ends. And yeah, originally I was just going to have them towards dark brown, grey or black, but I do see now that there is it's a little lacking in color. So yeah, blue or sea green might be good to have as like a shadow color. Good contrast to the pinks and reds. I realize also now that even though I did add a lot of gray to these parts, it's not as much as it looked in the beginning, so I should maybe have had less of the skin color, more concentrated into the center, and then let the gray kind of go in onto the torso and such. Because now it kind of looks a bit too human, not, I don't know, too much warmth, too much life in it, instead of being like a kind of dead gray that I was going for some of the areas. Yeah, I did some more highlights and shades on these ones too. Again, just washes and some white dry brushing. Alright, I'll try going for pupils, more like animal pupils, so a line or a few dots like frog eyes or goat eyes, I think would be appropriate on this one. Last thing to do is to finish the bases. I did go over them with a quick dry brush of pure white, and now I am hitting them with a few different shades. I'm using shades and contrast paints for this because I do want them to be quite transparent, just tinting the gray a little bit. And there we have it. All 9 miniatures are ready for the board game. I finished it just in time as the visitor is coming in like 15 minutes. So yeah, good stuff. The last thing I did was just to paint the bases, or the base edge, black. And it's pretty nice to be able to distinguish the tentacles from the skin, even the tentacles that are on there. These are fine, they are good enough. I could have gone over them again, picking out the teeth a little bit more clearly and fixing some of the shadows and stuff, but then again, I think they look pretty good as as just a mass of enemies. That's it for this episode. Now let's see if we survive against the black goat of the woods.
Mm.